So hi everyone, very happy to see you today on the Apidays and to give this session regarding the convergence of AI and mostly Gen AI with APIs. So it's very exciting topic. So I propose now to explore together this potential to see how we can create API that are driven by AI and to see ultimately how we can build the future of interfaces for our system on your ecosystem. My name is Pierre-Olivier Patin. I'm a global CTO of Sogeti, part of Capgemini, working on apps and cloud. Let's move of the two use cases that I would like to give today. It's on the API journey. The first thing, the most common one, is how to build an API on my APIs. And second, in any case, it is a matter of integration. So we need to deal with app and data integration. So it will be the second use case that we will try to cover in this exploration, again, of Gen AI for APIs and integration. But before to move on Gen AI on this journey, let's come back to the simple thing. So how we build an API in a common way today. What is the methodology to do that? And mostly we are every time more or less going through this different step, gathering functional and non-functional requirement, going in specification of design, for sure coding API, creating sample of data on unit testing, working on continuous integration and delivery. On some time, we are also converting existing API, REST API, to most advanced modern way of working like GraphQL. On the apps and data integration, it is mostly the same story. We are every time going in gathering requirements. We are, at the contrary of the specification, creating mapping of specification. We are coding, or in some way using modern stuff like low code, we are composing now integration, not just coding. We are for sure again creating sample data and testing to make it happen. And for sure, every time going through a CI/CD chain. But when we are making on using this kind of methodology, the main aspect that we are seeing, the main concern behind the scene, it's what happened. Mostly every people are saying the requirement analysis, it's something very long to do, long to perform. We need to understand the stakeholder needs, probably sometimes talking not technically, but with functional teams. It is not really clear what is the scope definition. When we are making development and testing, it is every time an iterative development and a comprehensive testing that we need to define. And for sure, like any project, it is not obviously the technical part, but mostly a matter of collaboration and communication with cross-functional team that don't know each other, how we will get and share this documentation and this knowledge, again, at different level, functional and technical. And what we are seeing as a bad effect, we are most of the time spending more time to have to create specification versus doing. We have a process that is mostly relying on document and specification, and we have every time an issue or concern to get access to the system, to the interface, and to test the environment. So the question that we can ask us in this exploration is how Gen AI augments API lifecycle, and second, or linked to the previous question, is Gen AI can drive integration of API? Is Gen AI able to make this link between functional topics and technical result? It is what we would like to explore with you. So as you can see, let's go through a demo now, and let's go on the first use case on which I will present how to build an API with Gen AI. Just about technical consideration, I'm just using for this test a basic prompt in ChatGPT 3.5, and let's see how it works. So as you can see, through the engine, I will drop a prompt defining that I am a business analyst from an API team. I would like to define specification of API for a coffee machine, so a kind of sample application. And what I would like is to provide from the business some information. As you can see, there is a unique identifier, a tag, a model, a location, several parameters. And I would like to have a functional specification. I'm saying not the code at this time. And I would like to have more insight regarding the field that I will manage through this ultimately API. So let's proceed. As you can see, we have the generative stuff that are working, dropping some specification. As you can see, it's providing me also some technical aspect, but it's not an issue. And I get some expression of needs, especially here, as you can see. I get from the list that I get from the business. He understood that if I need to retrieve something, it will be an endpoint and it will be a get. I have all my field that will be interpreted from functional to implement something that is expressed as a description. And I have some examples, some error code. So the system is going me in some technical aspect, and I have some information here. Okay, so that's for the specification. And what I would like is to eventually incorporate in my documentation a kind of small table expressing what is ultimately the API as a specification. Okay, so that's already interesting. With just dropping some easy information that I'm getting, I'm able to create some aspect of specification here. Now, let me continue. And what I will do, it's really to dig into the technical aspect. So now I am handling the hat of API developers, and I ask to have the code in a language. In that case, it is through Node.js to create this API for a coffee machine. So it gets the context, initial context from the specification, and it's giving me the code plus also all the aspects to install the different package and to run it. So let's continue the journey, and we will try now to use our main editor, IDE. So I'm going here. I'm just copy paste the code that I get generated. I'm following the guidance of my generative result, and I will install the different package. As you can see, it's coming. Okay, let me init a project and now install the package. Okay, package install, and now I can run my API, Coffee Machine API, that is running here in localhost. Okay, now let me try if it works. So as you can see, I'm going to my famous API test. I'm trying to get a gate on a machine 1, and I get some result from my API, so it's working well. I have something that is running at this time. Now let me move, and what I would like to get, as you can see, it's transform. I'm not so much happy to make REST API. I would like to be in a more advanced, modern stuff. So can you translate what I did from specification on my code in REST API to GraphQL? So here, again, the system is able to generate the code, and before, it gives me some guidance regarding how to install on the different package that I need to run for this application, for this API. It gives me also some sample. It's giving me here the GraphQL schema that is interpreted from my context, and I get the code on some aspect to run it. I'm now moving to my famous IDE again. I'm creating a file, coffee machine ql.js. I'm copy paste the code. I'm installing the different package that the system required and recommend me. And as you can see, I will make just a few adaptations here. I know that there is a misunderstanding from the system, and it will not work. So I have pretty the right method on variables, but in a different way, as you can see. And here I can run also my GraphQL API through what was generated before. Let me move. Now what I can do is to go on my API. As you can see, through this API, there is a system that is launched to query through a kind of sandbox my API. And as you can see, if I call through this request, I get the different information that are running on my GraphQL engine. And as you can see, the main interest when we are using GraphQL is not to require all the field. So I can really ask for just location and get the result on location. So as you can see, I already created specification, a REST API. I convert it to GraphQL, or it's running well. So let's continue now. And what I will do is to create tests, unit testing. So again, I'm asking to the system, based on my context, can you provide me the engine on some sample test, a unit test regarding what I did through my API. So it's giving me here, as you can see, what I need to install with Jest. It's giving me the code that I need to run. It's giving me also what I need to edit on the package.json and how to use it. So it's pretty hands-on. So now let me move again to my famous IDE. And as you can see, I copy paste the code that I generated just before. I need to make some install plus some package edit. I make the install here. Great. Now I show you what I edited in a package.json to integrate Jest. And as you can see now, I can run my test. And I have one test set with two tests, and the two are pass. So it's working well. So now I can elaborate with more tests if I would like, but I have already a structure that is started through this system. So very interesting to see in my first journey to build an API, I can build specification again, I can build my API in REST API, I can move to GraphQL, I can create also my unit test. So all it's interesting to start easily making the link about the initial ask on what we can have as a result technically. Let me move to the second use case, which is more around integration through API. So as you can see, first, I will like the system. So I have already two APIs, but I will like to make the integration, and I receive the Swagger, but I don't want to read it for real because it is not so much convenient. So I asking the system, can you please make me a sum up about what is the structure and what are the capabilities, the field of this API. So as you can see, here the system is able to deduce what are the different fields from this API on the different types. So again, interesting to make this work of discovery for existing API. I have a second API because I would like to make integration with two API, a get and a post, and I'm asking exactly the same thing. So in that case, imagine I have a coffee machine. I would like to request information to put it in a billing system. It is my second API. And as you can see, I get exactly the same structure. I have a table that is generated for my specification. Okay. Let me move. What I'm asking to do, just coming back here. Okay. So now what I would like to ask is to create a mapping table of these two columns, making the correspondence, the mapping of these two API. And what I'm asking is making by the clause meaning that you can deduce from the two APIs. So as you can see, at the left column, we have the first API, the second API. And as you can see here, there is a link that is made. He understood that the data invoice and the date could be aligned. He understood also that company and enterprise, so it is not a match on the field, but rarely from the meaning. He understood that the invoice can be linked to the fee, and the location also can be linked to the address. And at the reverse, he understood also that I have some fields that are not covered today, putting a not unviable in the right column. What I can ask now, as I have this first proposition mapping, is to have a kind of score to say if it is, if you are confident, if the system is confident without the mapping. And as you can see here, again, the system is providing us a score, deducing that probably by voting on ID, it is a 100% match, but saying that location and address cannot be exactly the same, even if there is close meaning, so score as medium. As you can see, company enterprise is score as high, and as you can see, the same for fee and also the date that we will see just below in high. So very interesting in that case to eventually make extra analysis if we get something that is generated by the system. Let me continue now. What I would like is to make it really concrete. So I choose a solution that is Azure Logic App, and I ask the system, okay, now that you have the mapping, can you create the code for the Logic App workflow based on this specification to make it happen? So what I would like is really get the information from the first API, manage this information, and post this information to the second API. And here, again, the system is dropping me all the code from the Logic App. So Logic App, it's something in low code, but behind there is code. So we can go from code and see it as a result from low code and as reverse. So here I get the code. Let me now try to test. So as you can see, I'm going directly on Logic App. I try to copy paste my code, but the issue, as you can see here, the system is not completely perfect. Anyway, I can manage from my side. And as you can see, it's raising me an error with the part.json. And also here, I need to update. So it is eventually something that I can improve, putting this information as an explicit statement in my prompt. But just to show you also that we can add something to manage, it is just a quick example. So I'm just working with the ID 123. I'm changing the URL from my different API, my two API, but the structure is well. I have a get, I have a post. And now I can switch to the designer. As you can see, it is exactly the sequence that I'm ruling. I have a first here, my parser is good. I see the parser, as you can see, the association between the correspondence between the field of the first API to the second API based on the mapping. And now let me run here what I updated, what was generated and updated, and you will see it worked perfectly. I get access to the content of the first API through get. Here, I have my body with these different informations, store coffee, and with a date in December. And as you can see here, I have my part JSON to make this association. And as you can see here, it is the body through the post that I'm sending to the second API, getting the information and translating with the different field expecting on the API. That's finish my second demo regarding how to make some integration. So as a conclusion, what we can say from this exploration and the lesson learned, every time that we are working with generative AI, we need to involve a domain expert. So definitely we need people that are expert about what is an API to really ask the good question to ensure the right result. And then we need to interact with the tech expert of GenAI to know how to leverage this new capability. What is interesting also through this two demo by practicing is to define this new normal of software engineering that is augmented, assisted, we can find your own word, by GenAI. Our third lesson is clearly try and test. As you can see, in a couple of minutes, we are able to create a sequence of creating API from specification to unit testing, and also to make an integration. And we need to test these different use case and also the model that we can use. Here it was a 3.5, but could be for sure even more powerful if we are using more advanced LLM. As a next step, what I can suggest to you and your team is really to evaluate and define a trade-off between this way of working with GenAI, but for sure we were working already in the past with templates, powerful templates. Also, there is an evaluation and trade-off between prompting and customization, how I can provide context of my company, how, for example, I'm naming the different API and field that you can eventually customize and go even more deeper in that technology. And for sure, we need to work with more advanced scenario, with more complex API to provide more coverage on unit test and also more advanced mapping. But again, let's start with a simple example to adopt the technology and to move forward. I was very happy to share with you this session. I hope you enjoy and you take some next step for you and your company, and see you soon. Many thanks. Bye.